Hey everyone, today's topic is about giving performance feedback. A very important topic that we as leaders have to have a very good skill and effectively leverage this. So when you think about the goal of performance feedback, it's really about helping your direct report to attain their full potential and reach their career goals. Absolute key responsibility of a leader. And when you think about giving feedback, right, there's this classic book called Radical Candor, where there's this 2x2 matrix in terms of, one dimension is caring personally versus, not really sort of caring about the individual, and the other is challenging directly versus not really being direct, right? And radical candor, for instance, comes at the intersection of, someone that you care personally and you are being able to go direct with that person. And I think that's really about how a performance feedback should be thought of. You are providing radical candor for the benefit of the individual. Now, obviously, radical candor doesn't mean being, insensitive. Uh, Sort of thinking about building it gradually, making sure that you have patience, you are committed to make the individual successful, and have demonstrated that in various shapes and form. So the absolute key point here is performance feedback. You as a leader are providing back to your direct report and really helping them in whatever goals they're trying to accomplish. So to get to performance feedback, there are lots of different ways. I know a lot of folks have cold feet thinking about preparing for performance feedback. Actually, over the years, the structure that I've followed is basically 3 steps: reflect, summarize, and share. When you're reflecting, think through what was accomplished, how it was accomplished with respect to mindset traits, technical and leadership skills, emotional intelligence. Summarize, writing down your analysis, and this is a very important part, something that you can share during the feedback session. And obviously, when it comes to the sharing part, really sort of deciding how you want to structure the feedback, thinking through in terms of, I would say what is the best place, sometimes, walking, sometimes maybe, having more of a casual conversation. So really think of the setting as well as what is referred to as a dosage of the feedback, right? Sometimes depending on what you're trying to share, you may want to build context and go slow, maybe multiple sessions rather than trying to cram everything in a single session. So reflect, summarize, and share. You have to think through all these aspects before you are ready for a performance feedback. So reflect. Like I said, there are 2 dimensions: how things were accomplished and what was accomplished. It's not just looking at the things that were done, equally important to look at how things were done. And one way I like to think about this, and obviously there are different ways to sort of summarize this, is for the individual that you're thinking about, think about, I refer to this as the intent questionnaire. That is, if you could put in your intent, even before you start judging, grading, just put in your intent. And the intent here, a few of these questions which tend to really clarify your thinking. So questions like, okay, I would award this person the highest possible increase and bonus, right? On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being strongly agree, 1 means strongly disagree. I would always want this person on the team. I would work extremely hard to retain this person. This person is at risk of low performance. This person is ready for promotion, a go-to person for technical questions, a role model for can-do attitude. When you basically are putting the answers to these questions, you're reflecting intent based on experiences. You will not be able to justify them yet, but this is a starting point. And when you have done this, one of the aspects here essentially is you can do this for everyone in the team. So first cut, if you have, whoever is on your team, do this exercise. It's a very, very illuminating exercise, right? And there are different, you can plot your ratings as well here in terms of like, how you plotted potential versus outcomes, right? And the question there is, always want this person on the team, award the highest increase. Award the highest increase will be based on the outcome. Always want the person typically reflects potential, right? That's how we are thinking about it. Also, when the way you're rating role model for attitude and go-to person for technical, it's a skill versus will, right? So you can think of, once you've answered them, take those values and create a few graphs. Again, these two are my favorites. And what it basically gives you at that point is, gives you a general sense of what your thinking is for this individual, right? And how you're thinking about it. One of the other things it also does is at this point, it actually clarifies um, and helps you ensure that you're being fair, right? This is again keeping your biases or biases in check. In fact, talking about fairness, one of the interesting videos out there, or I'll just play this, play this as a 2-minute session here.
Cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again.
So folks, hopefully you get a picture here. This is about the aspect of fairness, right? And something very important for leaders to realize is within your team, making sure that you're being fair as you are thinking through. So when you're reflecting, especially when you're reflecting on these questions, after you have sort of done your rating, an important step is think about why you rated the person the way you rated them. So like, for instance, I would have always want this person on the team. If you rated it as a 3 or a 4, something came in the way to get them to a 5, right? And this is where you start reflecting. What came in the way? What are we thinking about, right? You get the picture. For every question, and even if you're rating them as a 5, what is in this person that is making them a 5? This analysis then is very important for your second part, which is summarizing, right? Because now we have to get ready for actually providing useful feedback. Like I said, the goal is to help the person and really inspire the person to achieve the best work of their life. Now, when you think of summarizing, this is in fact a great format from the book High Performance Impact by Andy Grove, where he talks about creating 3 sections: signature strengths, signature challenges, and the most important message you want to deliver. Signature strengths essentially are attributes, like, describes business impact, of the attributes in a sentence or two, and really gives examples, right? So signature strengths is really what causes us to treasure the person, right? This is why we are, we think they are doing a phenomenal job. These are the aspects which make them very valuable for us. So that's the signature strength. When you're thinking of signature challenges, you're really thinking about what's holding things back on their career path. As a leader, you can think of lots of good things, lots of bigger things these individuals can be doing. What's holding them back, right? And once you have that, there is clearly 2 aspects. One is maybe finding a way to shock absorb the challenges there, right? In terms of, if individuals have specific traits, for instance, traits of being extremely meticulous, extremely, I would say, analyzing everything before making a decision. These are valuable skills, but at the same time, depending on the project needs, may be impacting differently. So shock absorbing here would be like potentially structuring projects which better leverage the skills of these individuals. And also another aspect in challenges is how do you turn them into strengths, right? What can be done? So really, it's challenges are really all about what if unblocked would help the individual realize the best increase, the best potential in their career. And then you're really summarizing it as an important message. This is something where you're wrapping it up as you know a statement of the fact that you've been phenomenal in doing XYZ. This is really been outstanding. In order for you to accomplish further, you strongly believe as a leader that potentially looking to add, improve, or enhance skills in whatever you realize as significant challenges is the key takeaway. There are other formats around this. This is another very standard format. You summarize this as what the accomplishments are, along with peer feedback. And then you talk about from the areas of development. It could be vision, communication, being strategic, being able to have emotional intelligence. The idea would be to give concrete examples, concrete suggestions, and what goodness means, right? So this is remember, the idea here is to help and make it as useful. So anything that you can do, this is another structure you can actually follow in terms of the superpower, the developmental areas, and make the developmental areas actionable. So this basically summarizes the feedback. Now you're ready to sort of have this. The last bit here is you have to think about what is the right strategy to share. And an example here is if someone is data oriented, for instance, you would apply or you would follow, a structure, a different way to sort of share versus someone who, likes to be very pragmatic and focusing on, starting from the outcomes or starting from getting to the key point and then building up the details. So you have to think from top down, bottom up. Everyone has a different style of how they like feedback. So when you think about the actual sharing part, it's about the setting, getting a pulse check on how they are. And this is very important, especially online. Everyone is remote. There are lots of moving things. So always getting a good check on how things are progressing, both on the work as well as personal front. And important aspects sort of to factor in your, again, the way you're going to share dose and dosage, as well as feedback and coaching. So at this point, you're ready. You have thought about the setting, maybe a specific time of the day, maybe end of the day, whatever you decide. Things are very online, so obviously, the setting is always going to be online. And yeah, you can structure it, either start bottom up from facts, building it towards inferences, or start with the overall summary and then kind of work backwards as to what are the factors that played in. Either way, and it'll vary from everyone on your team. I think the last aspect I wanted to bring up here is when you're sharing, it's a combination of feedback and coaching. These are two very important aspects. Feedback is about past behavior, right? And you're being evaluative, you're telling and you're giving advice. And it's more in terms of, thinking about, okay, corrective actions, right? I think of coaching. Coaching is future oriented. It's developmental. It's more about career goals. How do you think you're getting there? What are you doing to improve your goals? Giving constructive input, right? But it's really about listening and thinking about what next, right? And this is very important, as you're thinking about especially the high potential individuals. So this session, or typically performance feedbacks, are also great mix of feedback and coaching, which will again vary from individual to individual. Takeaways. Number one takeaway, spend time to reflect and prepare. There are no shortcuts in writing a good performance feedback. Summarize your feedback with radical candor. Really ensure that you're inspiring change. Inspiring the change is like, you know, it's of no use if you put a feedback which is never incorporated. So your job does not stop at, hey, I gave the feedback, whether you do it or not. It's your responsibility. That's not the way it should be thought. It's like, what can you do as a leader to take it through, make the impact or change happen? And that's where you really need to pay a lot of attention on how you share, in what format, and work this through patience and a lot of respect, and clearly balance feedback and coaching. I think that is very important. Assignment. I think this would be a fun assignment. One way to sort of learn this is to write a performance review for yourself, right? What are your strengths? What are weaknesses? What is an important message you would give to yourself? Always a fun exercise to do. And believe me, you learn a lot. Hope you guys found this useful. Thanks, everyone.